Hello again. I'm back, sharing more videos, trying to be authentic for my, channel, Authentic Relationships. And I just wanted to go first and share, in another later date, I'm going to share things more from my childhood because, that's where all of this starts, right? But I had just kind of a lot of stuff happened since 2021 to 2025. And so I wanted to be transparent and be open and authentic about my journey, what's been going on with me. So in the last couple of videos, I shared about losing my partner. And then I shared making a horrible investment with somebody who was gaslighting me the whole time. It was kind of like a Bernie Madoff situation. Maybe a little, smaller scale with the number of people involved. But they were, I met some of these people in person at a retreat, and they were lovely human beings, and they weren't stupid. They were pretty evolved. They were pretty intelligent. They were pretty savvy. And we all got taken. So, it can happen to any of us. I'm not beating myself up or judging myself for being stupid. However, it wasn't my finest moment either, right? But more importantly, just recognizing that there was a subconscious pattern that kept recreating a very similar situation in very different circumstances, right? So it's like, no easy money for you, no passive income for you, no investments get to work out for you. Okay, so enough about that. So in the same time period, I had a run-in with somebody kind of in my friend group. I'm really grateful that none of these lessons came in the form of a romantic partner. Maybe grief was my protector because I wasn't ready for a relationship, even though I was dating. But I'm really grateful that I didn't have to have the intensity of learning these very difficult life lessons in a romantic relationship, because that just makes it infinitely more painful and difficult to sort through and to make those boundaries. Nevertheless, in my friend circle and my community, I had a run-in with somebody that kind of baffled me, to be honest, because I am a hypnotherapist. Excuse me, I have a little frog in my throat. I'm going to have a sip of water. Because that's my specialty, is to kind of like figure out how to understand people and have more awarenesses and ask the right kind of questions. And I'm also an NLP practitioner, neuro-linguistic programming. I know there's another NLP acronym now, but this was from back in the 70s, 80s, NLP. So, but they teach that the responsibility for communication is on the practitioner, right? So, Milton Erickson, who is kind of considered the greatest hypnotist of all time, said there's no difficult clients, only inflexible therapists, right? So, I took that to heart, and I really made it my responsibility to adapt to other people, right? If they're not understanding what I'm saying, if I'm not getting through to them, then how can I say it differently? How can I show up differently so that I connect with them and they can get me and I can get them? But I met my match. I came across someone that I'm like, I can't get this person. Like, there's nothing I can do. I can do black flips and cartwheels, and nothing I did seemed to make me be able to connect with this person. And they were kind of a thorn in my side. And I was quite baffled, honestly, because I'm like, I'm pretty good at what I do. And, I get a lot of good feedback from people. And I just had never had an experience like this. And I was really frustrated, perplexed, and confused. And so I started, doing research, because obviously there's something I don't know. And I kind of came up with you know, with two options. Either they're on the spectrum, right? And they just really don't understand social cues. Like, he couldn't read me, he couldn't read other people that I observed in my space, or he's a narcissist. I'm like, it's one of the two, and maybe it's a combo, I'm not sure. But I think there was a narcissistic element because I've heard this described from other people. He really got in my head. I've never, and I'm good at kind of like letting things go. It doesn't mean I'm going to choose to keep somebody in my life who's not healthy for me, or who's violating my boundaries. I'm able to set boundaries and just let them, you know, float away from me in my life. But this was the first time somebody like really got in my head. And I was like going to bed angry and waking up angry. Like, that is not Serena. I kind of match my name. I'm pretty serene more than not. And this person got to me. And I was just, it was eating me up. And I'd never experienced something like that. And, I've just, done enough research. I'm not an expert in narcissism, but I've done enough research to know that they kind of do, like, they take almost like a mind virus. It's like it gets in your head and you can't get it out. And my heart goes out to anybody, especially if they're in a romantic relationship with a narcissist. That is rough stuff. So I did, physically cut the contact very quickly, right? We had some exchanges of words, right? And I was not as blunt as I could have been, but I said enough to let him know that, yeah, I don't let people do this to me or have them in my life. And even though I did set that boundary, he was still in my head. And I did not like him living there. And it took, honestly, like way longer than it should have taken for me to process this and just let it go. It took months. Like, I am not proud of this. I am ashamed to say it took me months to actually let this go. And but meanwhile, I'm doing a lot of research, and I try to put see the silver lining. At least if I have an experience like this, it shows me the significance of it and the seriousness of it. And it does help me with if I have a client that comes in that's dealing with a narcissist, so then I can speak into it, in a way that's more useful because I actually understand what they're going through. So I try to see things through that lens of like, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I apply that knowledge to help other people as well? And, that is, a bit of a consolation prize, because it knocked me out of my center, man. And, but I've recovered. It took me a while. That was actually a couple of years ago. I've totally let it go now. Um, but yeah, that was intense. So, I lost my partner, and then I had this shyster like take a lot of money from me and gaslight me through the whole process. And I had this person that just like got in my head and was, made me angry. Like I said, that's not even my go-to emotion. So it just seemed like, through this 4-year period, I'm just like, uncle, I'm whatever I'm supposed to learn, I'm ready to learn it. I'm ready to move on and be happy. So we're all in this together. And don't judge, not only don't judge yourself, but don't judge others. If you see them struggling, if you see them in a place where you're like, oh, well, how are you creating that? You must be, I heard this great joke one time from my one of my hypnosis instructors. He said the worst place to get in a car accident is Sedona, because everybody runs up to you and goes, how did you create this? So yes, when we're creating things that we don't want, that look disastrous, that are, what we label as bad, right? Yes, it is true. On some level, we are attracting it or creating it or manifesting it, but that's not on the conscious level. None of us consciously create crap or bad situations or pain. We don't do that. It's something in our subconscious, it's something in our energy field that we're not aware of. And if you're not aware of it and you don't know what it is, don't judge yourself or others for attracting what, that's their opportunity to see it, to become aware of what they need to heal and clear. And so let's support each other on our journey. Let's have compassion and empathy, because it ain't easy out there, and world's getting pretty crazy. It's been crazy for a while. And let's show up for each other and help each other rather than judging them, or we're usually hardest on ourselves, right? So anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to check out my school in the link below. Bye for now.